Hey everyone, welcome to this full moon Sidereal astrology forecast. This is for the full moon on April 19th and also the surrounding days of 2019. All right, so we have a full moon in Virgo. If you were expecting me to say Libra, do check out the link down below. We are using the actual size of the constellations, which does change the signs from mainstream astrology. All right, so full moon here in Virgo. It's actually the second one we've had. The last full moon was here as well. This is very normal because Virgo is a very large constellation. But yeah, further development when it comes to the pragmatic aspects of life. Virgo is all about getting into that refinement, how we can refine ourselves, our environment, our life in general, strive towards things like improvement, build healthy habits and routines, this kind of stuff that creates structure in our life, really good to now do a status check with and further develop. So the sun, of course, is in Pisces with this, so it's good to be receptive and balance that out with this full moon, that more receptive approach to these things and surrendering what is outside of our control. But also with the full moon, there is an opposition up to Uranus, so we might be feeling like breaking free, so good to balance maybe some spontaneity, making changes in healthy ways. We have a square up to Pluto, slight square, so really good to observe if any attachments come up or any fears come up that we can work with, and a minor sextile up to Jupiter. Just a really good time to expand our horizons about what's possible, really expand our consciousness while this full moon is in effect. All right, so let's take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so here's the chart for the full moon. Now, the full moon will be at 0802 Eastern Time of the Americas, if you do want to make that calculation for wherever you are in the world. And again, as you can see here, we are using the actual size of the constellations, and this is different from mainstream, which is why the signs are different. So if you are new, definitely check out the link down below because it will describe this system. But essentially, if you look up at the sky, you will see the full moon in Virgo. All right, so full moon, time of a heightened energy of the lunar cycle. It's really good time to do a status check. How are certain energies in our life going? And to further develop them. And in this case, with Virgo, you could see it as the constellation of the Maiden, which is about really getting into our refinement side, our self-discipline side, and to do the work, right? What in our life requires refinement, self-discipline, and work that we can now further develop. So usually with Virgo, this can be things like building good habits, doing things like self-improvement, doing our literal work or our service, building good routines. And this is an earth sign, right? So it's all about creating that structure. And so anything that creates a sort of automatic structure, self-discipline structure, right? That is striving towards improvement of things, really good to further develop. So that's going to be the general energy of the full moon, but we do have some other things, of course, to consider with this. One, of course, is the sun in Pisces, and the sun is actually finishing Pisces over the next few days, completing a lot of this more receptive energy we've been feeling. Now, we still do have Mercury and Venus in Pisces. They're going to finish up over the next few weeks or so, but yeah, the sun is finalizing here. But anyways, with the Pisces energy, the opposition to Virgo is that while we are creating structures, and it's good to again, really get into that detail-oriented, even perfection kind of oriented energy, but at the same time, surrendering, right? Everything that is outside of our control, realizing that there really isn't any real perfection, or rather, another way of looking at it is that everything is perfect the way that it is, right? This is Pisces energy, that there's a divine perfection, that everything is perfect because it exists, all right, or however you see that, and trusting, having faith, accepting what is essentially in the now moment. So this more receptive approach, anything we can do that is geared towards this, whether it's spiritual activities, just again, approaching things with a little more acceptance and receptivity, doing our best to surrender, right? These kinds of things, really good to balance with this Virgo side. All right, now there is a very close opposition up to Uranus with this full moon. So this could be where one side of us maybe wants to break free. Perhaps some of us, not all of us, some of us may feel a bit maybe confined or restricted sometimes with oppositions to Uranus, feel like breaking through in some way. But whatever it is, it's good to, again, balance this earthy energy of building structures, self-discipline structures, right? All this kind of stuff. Balancing that with spontaneity, balancing that with change, balancing that with experimentation, right? Maybe changing the routine, changing the habits, being open to new and different experiences, essentially with Uranus, because Uranus represents what you could say is a connection to our true self or higher self that recognizes that there needs to be change, right? That we do need to listen to that freedom, spontaneity. Although life does require earth and structure, what's the point of that if we don't have freedom, right? If we don't embody our true self, we can't be spontaneous and experiment and be free. So really good to balance this. That's what the opposition's about, is how to incorporate both. How can we further develop that earthy structure while at the same time allowing for change, spontaneity, experimentation, pivoting, disrupting things, right? To allow for that fresh, new perspective. So really good to do that. And finding that balance, I think, can be fantastic. All right. Now, that's the most important stuff with the full moon. There is a slight square to Pluto. It is very slight. Okay. And so it is good to also be aware of this, though, to a degree. So with Pluto, squares to Pluto could be maybe seeing that it's a good time to really be aware of if there are any attachments, right? Observing any attachments, observing any fears, and doing our best to take initiative to release these attachments and release these fears. So it could be simply going about things with a more non-attached perspective, but usually with squares, it's really good to maybe initiate some things, maybe take some actions or do some things or spiritual things that might break some cycles, might face some fears, might change our belief systems, because with Pluto and Sagittarius, our belief systems have been going through this whole transformation process, right? So breaking cycles, breaking patterns, especially if they're rooted in fear in any way, which really patterns and cycles are, right? And even noticing if there's any comfort zones, which can sometimes be the case with the South Node, right? And then challenging ourselves to either internally or externally make these changes, right? Set some initiative, some action, perhaps some intention to disrupt these cycles and allow for, again, more of that non-attachment that arises when we are, willing to face those things or face those fears or accept these deeper aspects of what we might be comfortable with or afraid of. All right, so good to do that with the square. Again, nothing major with it, though. It's a very slight square with Pluto. Now, also minor is a sextile up to Jupiter. And so this is a great, just an opening here. It's just an opening to expand our consciousness a bit. Especially with Jupiter retrograde, we're kind of re-examining our perspective of what's possible, our belief systems. And now it's just an opening to further do that, to expand our beliefs, expand our potentials, know that opportunities are out there. Our belief systems really do play a huge role in what manifests in our life. And so to maintain that open mind, that expansive consciousness, can be very supportive with the full moon. All right, so that's the full moon in a nutshell. Again, this video is for the surrounding days. So as you can see here, the only major aspect we've got going on these surrounding days with the full moon is Mercury over Chiron. And this is actually quite important because Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. And so whatever Mercury is doing will be significant for the full moon. In this case, Mercury over Chiron. Chiron represents healing. It's the wounded healer. And so in a conjunction, there might be a whole new beginning involving healing, maybe being more receptive and accepting with that Pisces energy, which we may notice is quite healing. But in either case, feeling a bit refreshed, maybe a bit rejuvenated and healed, maybe after the full moon or during the full moon, right? And if there's anything you can do to set some intentions to do some healing, specifically, whether it's physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, whatever it is, set some intentions to do some healing, especially if it's about our thoughts, our perspective on things, which is what Mercury represents, right? There's this whole kind of, again, rejuvenation taking place with our thoughts and observing them, and especially in Pisces, and being aware of them can be very, very healing and very therapeutic. Also communication too, whether it's personal, like writing things down, journaling, or maybe just speaking, talking with someone. All of this can also be very therapeutic with the conjunction to Chiron. And that's what I really see with the full moon, is this whole kind of fresh new beginning with this healed energy along with these other aspects. All right, everyone. So that's the full moon in a nutshell. Now down below, there will be a few links in the comment section for where this is for each of your sidereal signs. So if you want to see which house this is for your sidereal sign, do check that out. But yeah, all in all, there is this full moon in Virgo. Most simply, great time of furthering to develop this sort of structural side of ourself, building structures within through habits, routine, and then also in our environment, furthering to develop that sort of striving towards improvement. Balancing this with receptivity, surrender, acceptance of Pisces, and also with spontaneity and change with Uranus. A slight square to Pluto, good for non-attachment, and a sextile to Jupiter, just helping us expand our consciousness a bit about what's possible. All right, so everyone, have a fantastic full moon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.